Yeah, I kind of want to do like prep stuff after this.
Starting now. Right.
Yeah.
Hello, welcome back. Season 44 response Q&A. Because of the fact that we think they work better than the countdowns, don't we?
Yeah, I mean the countdowns generate hype, but like that's all they're really good for.
Yep. So ask away your questions. That's the point of this.
Yep.
And answer them.
Yeah.
So what you thought of season 44? It was out yesterday.
Someone just said season 44 was one of the best videos that you have ever done.
Thank you. That means a lot. There you go.
I have a feeling it's because we have Empty Child and Jubilee in the same season, and also Scream of the Schalker's probably a bit popular.
Yeah. So well yeah. Also, as a video, I think it's fine. Yeah, the countdowns, they were alright, but I think these work better.
Yeah, I feel like countdowns just work as hype machines. These just work as I feel like these have more purpose as a sort of asking about what happened, how we made it, and just general questions about what if Doctor Who wasn't X'd.
Mm-hmm.
Someone just said, "I'm a new fan. You're the best." Because they're not here for me, they're here for you. This is your channel, your show.
Really happy it's back to a less serialised format.
It's still kind of serialised, but
it's not as much as it was.
It's kind of like New Who, except better, because Paul Cornell's
Yeah, and then there would be a few stories that do slide into each other, like the end of Unicorn and the Wasp sort of is a cliffhanger to the Scream. Yeah. So how was planning the end of the video coming from the end of the Head era to Joseph's first series? Different, but it's going back to that sort of feel of more sort of the Sandman feel, but taking elements of the Red, doing them again, and then also thinking about 2007 and CBS in there as well, putting all these elements together to try and get a massive, of season 44. And a lot of things we wanted is some stories that we'd missed, like The Empty Child, because we'd been off doing Reds and stuff.
Yeah.
And stuff that was happening at the same time, sort of the Unicorn Wasp I wanted in there as well, because that would very much likely gone in there. And also, I think like someone like Agatha Christie, so it's something like that. Does Angela have confidence and like
Maybot?
Well, I think Angela is very much like take Harriet Jones and then make her really right wing.
So basically get Jacqueline Pierce's character from the Fearmonger. Because seriously, she's sort of the head of this sort of like UKIP-esque party, which the name of it kind of gave me parallels to Britain First.
Mm-hmm. Joseph's Doctor's personality like, if he's serious, humorous. I think it would have a serious side, but it would be more humorous than someone like. But it would also have a lot more. It would be a bit like, I'd say, the better elements of David Tennant. Schalker Doctor put with Paul McGann's Doctor in one. That's how I'd imagine him.
I imagine him as like a lot more toned down version of the 11th Doctor mixed with the 8th Doctor. When I say the 11th Doctor and the 8th Doctor, I mean from the real universe. Like sort of mix of that and sort of mix of the Schalker Doctor as well. Just because he's a Paul Cornell creation, and Paul Cornell is going to be the script editor of next season.
Yeah, well,
just a little heads up.
But Paul Cornell's been the script editor since season 43, so I don't think it's rocket science.
It's I mean, he's going to be script editor next season then, which we are currently planning, but we're going to try and get Panopticon Series 1 out first.
We're focusing on Panopticon. Well, we're not trying to. Panopticon Series 1 will be out for. What made you choose that costume? I don't know really. I was just looking through, because we look through costumes and stuff, and I wanted to have much more. I knew the colour of this series would be red. I knew that. I just had to feel red was the vortex. I especially said should be red, and I found that, and it's something which is, it's like sort of, it's like a more, it's reminiscent of the Griffiths costume, but also quite reminiscent of loads of other Doctors' costume in there as well, and I thought it just really worked. But it's also got a bit of that sort of David Tennant stuff with, the tie and the sort of suit underneath. But it's sort of... was there any backlash for the 12th Doctor being black?
Probably.
Yeah. I think it
probably
would have
not
been...
as much if they cast a black actor to play Bond, due to the fan bases being very different when it comes to diversity in the part. Which I personally think there should be a black Bond at some point, just not a female Bond. But, doesn't work for the character, in my opinion. But that, we're not here for Bond, even though 44 had a episode that was literally Bond.
But was there a backlash to Doctor being black? It would have been, but I don't think it would have been that major. I think like people would have got over it more quickly, because the thing is that thing with a black actor is it's very different to a female acting people's approach to it, because he's
still male.
No, and the thing is people, if someone said something bad about black people, because of the society we're in nowadays, a lot of people are very quickly. So I think it would have been much smaller, but still there.
Yeah.
Is Big Finish? Is Big Finish in this universe?
Can I make this point first? Okay. Can I make this point first? I feel like there would be more backlash on the device that would make the Doctor appear to be who
oh yeah, the perception device.
The perception filter thing. I feel like it... Okay, this is just like a thing. Open planning. I feel like there should be an episode where it's broken.
Yeah, I can see that happening.
One in the past. That should be an episode. Maybe next season.
Well, yeah. So, did Big Finish exist? No, it wouldn't have. Even though I very much like Big Finish, it wouldn't have existed because of the fact that it existed purely because Doctor Who was off the air. And it wouldn't have any need to exist, even though it's even great now when Doctor Who is on the air. But there would have been, it wouldn't have been created in the first.
Yeah. Although granted, Benny wouldn't have gotten her own spin-off series because she's dead. So the fact that Big Finish only really got the Doctor Who license because they got the Benny license. I feel like Big Finish could still exist as a company, just not making Doctor Who audios. That they'll just do like King Lear, or like Frankenstein, or they'll just do their original stuff as well.
I've got a feeling it just wouldn't have happened, really. Is there going to be an episode with the Cybermen? I think it's more than likely.
I'll just read all the questions and then we'll just like fire through them, because I feel like some questions we haven't.
Yeah, but I'm picking and choosing which ones I want to answer first. Is there going to be an episode with the Cybermen? Maybe there might be. You have to wait and see.
What? Sorry. The Cybermen. Right.
I wouldn't think it's impossible.
It's just for some reason at this point in the series, Ben has a sort of grudge against the Cybermen.
I don't have a grudge against the Cybermen. It's just that I don't want to use something which is too early. Even in season 41, sort of, and they will be in it at some point.
Yeah, definitely will, and I just think I think it will just be in every few years things like the Daleks. It's just the Daleks will probably appear more often than the Cybermen. So sort of like they do in New Who, except more spaced apart for each.
Was historical episodes. The thing is, that's why they invented this perception device, so the writers didn't have to every single historical episode have 20 and all this races and stuff. Because while that's interesting to do, it just would have got tiresome after a while. So they controversially made this perception device, which also acted a bit like the psychic paper, so the Doctor and Andrew could get into stuff, and also getting rid of stuff where they just weren't trusted just because they're there.
I've just realised, if Chris Chibnall does something like that with Jodie, like, oh look, it's just a very short man with a Yorkshire accent.
Will there be any changes to the title sequence in season 45?
Not
yes.
Really,
well, yes, because
one change.
Name going in, and you know who that is because she was at the end of season 44. So I think you can work that out. Yep, there you go.
Yeah, Sophia Okonedo. Like, if you're watching this and you haven't seen season 44, what's wrong with you? Watch it. I've already spoiled that Sophia Okonedo is going to be in it.
It says watch if you haven't seen. If you haven't seen season 44, I put if you haven't seen season 44. That's wrong.
Yeah,
it's right at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
So did the team ask any other past writers to possibly write an episode for season 44? What do you think? I don't know. I think because there are only 8 slots, enough writers really.
Yeah.
But they asked Moffat to come back, and I think that was probably something just they got something really good.
He was a staff writer, so
yeah. One series, could you please do an adaptation of the Next Doctor? Well, it's Doctor, but you might get something with a similar vibe. Around the same time.
I see what you're doing.
So if the perception device broke, that'd make a good story. Yeah, it would. I'd take that into consideration. That isn't actually something I've thought of before. Have you seen the Star Trek Doctor Who crossover comics? Is it possible the crossover to happen in this universe at CBS own BBC both .2? Yes, I've read a bit about them. Possible for a crossover to happen? I think a comic crossover might happen, but I think what would be for children need crossover to have happened. But I don't think that would happen too much later on, perhaps even now, because of the fact years
that Star Trek was kind of dead at that point. Star Trek's not changing in this universe. Star Trek and Doctor Who are very separate entities, so frankly,
I think maybe around nowadays we might get a comic relief.
I've just realised it could have happened. Actually, no, it couldn't. Only if Enterprise continued, then it could have happened around like early Head era. But because it got cancelled. Actually, no, it probably could have happened like 2006. I would say.
It was cancelled early 2005.
Yeah, it was cancelled early 2005. I think it would have happened 2006 if it would have.
You should cross over Blake 7. Yeah, but the thing is,
I'm pretty sure Caldor City could have existed. You never mentioned anything about the Caldor City audios.
The mic does seem to be keep glitching out. Yeah, I know. I can't do anything about it. Sorry. You're just gonna have to ignore it for the moment. Hi mate, what month will the Penopton spin-off come out on YouTube? Hopefully next month, and hopefully not too far into the month. I will so it should be easier to make. It's just trying to find the time for stuff like this and all that. I'm planning a few documentaries. I'm working on it. It's just they are quite time consuming, and at the moment I was these seasons out for you. In one series, could you do a story similar to The Doctor's Wife, with the TARDIS life being the TARDIS life? Maybe, I don't know. I think that's quite far in the future for what we're working on at the moment. Did they possibly think of ideas of Rogue One, Rebel Zero Series 2? I think the idea of that is, maybe it might have been on the cards, but it's very much something that can only work one series. 8 gets destroyed at the end of the series. The characters sort of feedback into Doctor 2. It's very much just an
option.
Yeah, it's like really an extension of season 42. Something that you can watch to give it a bit more context, and it is reference and revelation a bit, some of the events. But there you go. Any multi-Doctor crossovers in the series? Well, there's the 40th anniversary,
and the
30th anniversary,
and the Lazarus
Project, and bits of Who Killed Kennedy. So. Ignore my comment much, right? I'll ignore your comment if you want. I do watch these. Well, that's your problem there. What else do we have? In the future, will the slot? The future will be changed? Maybe. I think it would be likely at some point it would change. Don't overuse the side. To be full. True, even though I don't want to overuse both of them. I think they should both be, and I don't think they would. I think it's very much a new Who thing. And if they want a big bad, there's so many other big bads they can use, and I think they're very much, especially Paul Cornell, would want to think outside the box. That big bads that necessarily aren't the first thing that spring to mind. Alex and the Cybermen, and perhaps different ones, but also ones that are still recognisable enough, and then perhaps someone I think.
Because he was willing to bring back the Vardans for
in Rebel Zero. That'd be interesting ways to bring back, but it's something that has a lot of potential. Something you can do a lot with. The Vardans, something that wasn't expecting that they are quite an interesting race, and doing them in Gallifrey, well, in Rebel Zero, seeing them on Gallifrey and doing the stuff as it's only 45 minutes they had them in, but yeah, there you go. Did the BBC ever change the 90-minute shots of the 90-minute shots left? No, the 90-minute slots, I think, at least for now, for the foreseeable future, it's this day, this is syndicated releases around the place. They would have still been split up into two, so it would have been, the stuff like that. The Empty Child Part 1, Part 2, which would have aired perhaps in foreign countries. But over here, it's still the 90-minute slot. The Auton, Sea Devils, etc. Maybe. I don't know about all of them, but I don't know. What were the viewing figures like for the season? I think they would have been quite strong. I don't think they would be ridiculously high. I think they would be around a million, but still very strong. Still quite high, but not super. They've been better at the music in this universe. John Debney or Murray Gold? I think they would have been about the same. They would have still very different styles, but still in that orchestral, features. They would have done it like that. But yeah, I don't know who would have been better. Who do you think would be better, Matt?
Well, it really depends on who you think's better. Murray Gold, John Debney. Personally, I think John Debney's more, I don't know, atmospheric. I don't know. I would say Murray Gold has more iconic stuff. John Debney just has better quality.
Would this Doctor use a sonic screwdriver? So what will it look like? Will there be a toy version? In season 19, it would have never returned because they thought there was no need to, and Doctor Who'd been getting on fine without it. It just wouldn't have brought it back. They might have brought it back for like an episode or something as a little reference at some point. I don't know, but it wouldn't have been a main thing, and there definitely wouldn't have been a toy for it. They wouldn't have been a change. They got rid of that awful yellow colour, and the text seems less fat, and I'm mistaken. Yep, it's just they slightly changed it a bit. Sort of made it a bit into the centre, so it sort of went higher. The yellow has gone to a red. Branding. It's complicated with the branding. Not sure if you've asked this, but what's the idea to have the Prime Minister's companion? It's made to do something which wasn't something that is very similar. I wanted the companions each need to be very each is yet, and I think because the Doctor's been president of Gallifrey, he would. It's interesting. Okay, sort of put that back on Earth and show a difference between them, and because the Doctor relinquished the role, seeing that, and we can sort of see Angela's power sort of slipping away from him and all that sort of stuff. I'll try and make a prediction. Will What If Doctor Who wasn't axed ends 54, 40, 55. It will end when we reach the modern day. That's when it will end, and then that's when it will end. Episode each year when we get to that. But that's the idea. It will end when we reach now, whenever that will be. If that's 2018 or 2019, I don't know. But there we go. In one story, can the Caddy Rani return? This is just one of my million ideas. Well, I don't know. If we want to return, but it could happen. It's more likely to happen in Panopticon than actual Doctor Who, I think. If we get another What If Doctor Who documentary, could there be a restoration process by Paramount? I could do that. I'd like to focus on DWM or merchandise first. That's something I'd like to explore and see how we go there. Would there be a female Doctor in this timeline? Maybe in the future. I don't know. No. What are the broadcast dates for this season? I do have them. I can read them out for you if you want. If you find that totally interesting. Silurian Awakening, 6th of October 2007. Empty Child, 13th of October. 13th of October. Gory, 5th of October. War and Dawn is the 20th. No, you can only time travel twice. Is the 20th. Travel twice. And Dawn is the 3rd of November. Jubilee is the 10th of November. The Unicorn and the Wasp is the 17th of November. And the Scream is the 24th of November. What else have we got? You put in your questions down below, and we'll continue answering these.
Sorry if I've been quiet. I'm trying to edit my media film atlas.
Okay. Okay. About the ones we created for this series, we've answered this quite a few times actually in previous ones. I'm still gonna stand by one. I don't know. I just kind of like that, but I'm really liking Joseph, and that's quite interesting. Because it's sort of a bit of a breath of fresh air after the Doctors of Grant and Head, because they're very in how they operated, and sort of the middle-aged to older white male. That's what we got from that. And also, I think what we should sort of focus on is not that it's the first Black Doctor, is that it's a Black Doctor. So there you go there. So I think we may have got a few lines at the talking about, got no hair. There you go.
Yeah, he's the first bald Doctor. We can agree with that. That's more revolutionary.
When will season 45 come out? Probably next month, I hope. I think it would be fine. Why was Paramount selected as the studio to co-produce Doctor Who for this series? Well, for this series, Paramount / CBS has been co-producing since 1998. But the reason is that and co-producing with stuff to save money and all this, and I thought Paramount would be the right place America as well, because I'd already said in season 34 that Doctor Who had got a good slot in America and all that sort of stuff. Is it possible for me to give you ideas for the series? You can give ideas by all means, just leave them down below. Whether I use them or not will be depending on is I may use them. Getting planted in my brain. I love the next Doctor after Joseph to be Tennant or not. Has been Richard Griffiths with his pink suit. Right, Richard Griffiths didn't have a pink suit, it was red. Unless your monitor's broken. No. Tennant or no Fielding, I'm not exactly sure that's gonna happen for the Doctor, but with Tennant.
Tennant or who? Or Noel Fielding. Who's Noel Fielding?
Look him up. The next Doctor. Tennant, I'm already going to say, if you looked at the Panopticon titles again, you'll see that David Tennant is on the Panopticon titles playing a different character. So I'll say right now he's not going to be the next Doctor because he's on there. So keep an idea. Would YouTubers like 5View Mr. TARDIS, Who Addicts, and DaDoctorWhoFan exist in this timeline? They'll be talking about all this though. Could David Morrissey be able to play a Doctor in the future series? It could happen.
I see him more as like a character for Panopticon.
Yeah, I think there's quite a lot of actors which would suit that, because it's very much like an extension of season 43 over, but with different plot lines, and it can do more no. Matt Smith, no. Exactly, no, it won't be Matt Smith. That's because I seriously don't think they would go with him in this timeline. And Stephen Moffat isn't really involved or showrunner anymore. No.
I feel like Matt Smith could be like a side character or a villain, like a one-off one at that.
I feel like he could just be a guest character in just an episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, Peter.
Shall we speak about how the season started off?
Yeah, well,
how each episode came to life.
Yeah, I don't know. We've got
in episodic order. Of course, we speak about them in episodic order.
So with
because that would be easier.
Which is very much like sort of a political drama exploring the ramifications of having Silurians wanting their planet back from the focus of the people in charge, and it's sort of bureaucratic element to it. The Doctor comes in, we find out the Shulker are actually behind it. We get a nice new Silurian design. I think that is very much sort of a mix of the classic design and this sort of newer 2010 design. Stuff,
yeah.
Which I think would have come in because still by their last appearance, which was in Sleeps of the Earth, which was in season 38, was it? If I'm correct. Still been much more that sort of a nicer version of the Warrior's Deep design. If we're suggesting Coleman combining the New Who Curse of Fatal Death pattern and the pattern of New Who antagonists and supporting players taking the lead role, right? I don't know if that will actually happen. Could Capaldi play the Mass in the future? Maybe. I don't know. Well, I do know, but I'm gonna say I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
But we
We've
haven't
not thought it out.
we haven't
clearly.
planned everything out yet. It's just
Cle-
we planned if we like to have happened.
We have
but,
a rough idea. We have a rough idea, just not the
but
specific
most of the
details.
time we change stuff all the time. Even 44, even 40 changed a few bits.
Yeah. We practically changed who the next Doctor would be last minute.
Yeah.
So.
Will John Hurt have any integration with Doctor Who in this time? I don't know. He might have guest starred in an episode. I don't think he would have been cast as the Doctor. Can I predict the future? Well, I can't predict the actual future. I know roughly what's going to happen, but what's going to happen? Stuff more on a series by fun doing it that way, I think, because it feels very much organic, and that's and exactly what's going to happen for the next 12 seasons. They would have done series by series. I own What If Doctor Who was an Act series. You can if you want. I don't own the series. Well, I own my series, but I don't own the concept. It's a concept that's been frequently used, and I just did something with it. Start it. You can do your own if you want. Just don't be afraid to ask them, and I'll answer them. Maybe some questions about.
I mean, I was gonna do my own, but like, I don't know. It just, thinking back on it, it wouldn't have worked out. So that's why I joined you. Ha.
Any questions about Panopticon? Perhaps questions about anything like that,
or maybe just about how 44 came to be, really.
Definitely, it was definitely going to be sort of that still serialized approach, but in a more episodic way.
Sort of like the 8th Doctor box sets, in a way.
An overarching feel, because each episode is trying to find the shelter, and that's what each episode is sort of like. Angela's there accidentally, and she grows to like.
But then starts to like
eventually. Sleepers of the Earth was basically Hungry Earth, just Cold Blood, but with 4 parts, and Richard D. Grant instead of Matt Smith.
Practically.
Yeah, there you go.
Don't forget, practically no Rory.
Yep.
Basically, and then instead of Amy, it's Sammy.
I have my own alternate Who timeline in the works, is where the TV movie was actually successful enough to revive the series. It was inspired by this one. That'd be interesting because
that would be
because
interesting.
of exactly what we've gone through. See where influences are there. It would have been very Americanized. To watch. I was going to do a What If Doctor was an Act series on my own channel. We'll play the Doctor. Yep, there you go. Go and do it. See how it goes. Quite interesting.
I mean, at one point I was going to have Hugh Grant as the Doctor, but looking back on it, no thanks. That was a bad idea.
Well, I got lots of people saying, do Hugh Grant as the 12th Doctor, and I was very against that. Personally, and I think in one year Noel Field, and the production was moved to Northern Ireland. Okay, there you go. Personally, if it was the American Doctor, I think it probably would have stayed in Canada filming it, but that could have happened in some alternate universe. So, if you don't have any more questions, I'm going to start to wrap this up, unless you've got any burning question. I'm going to go in minutes, and then I'll stop. Both annoying companions that quite a lot of people hated anyway. Rory there, or are you talking about Sammy?
Probably both.
Well, there you go. I think welcome. How long did she do? About, was it 4 series she did? I think.
Yeah. 4 series. 4 seasons.
4 seasons. So there you go.
4 full seasons.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
So that was
So there. Yeah. There are at least 2 things that I'm glad don't exist in this timeline: Rose, Tyler, and Clara. Again, they don't exist. Thankfully. There you go. Why did you not want Hugh? Because I didn't think it would work. Well, he would have been. I think he was much more of a new series sort of Doctor than a sort of feel. Really, I feel like most of the time, perhaps 1 or 2. Well, we sort of got the McGann dashing Doctor. They would have gone with the more sort of calculated and wise Doctor, and I think it was sort of more, but I think it would have been done in a very different way. And I think also Hugh Grant was a bit too famous, personally. Even though Doctor would be immensely successful, you know, I still don't think he would do it, and I don't think they particularly would. I think they particularly would different, like Patterson Joseph. So there you go. Any last questions coming in before I end this? Any? No. Right, I'm going to end it there then. Hope you had everything you wanted answered. Season 45 should be coming soon, but Penopton Series 1's coming first. I should have title sequence and end credits, soon on the extra. So what you make of that? Anyway, until then, goodbye then.
Goodbye. How did the 9th Doctor die? He was killed.
Yep. There
he
you go.
Murdered.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.